I have a copy of the U.S. Department of the Treasury Customs Report. Okay, I obtained a copy of this, and they did an investigation. They were called into the case because they thought maybe there was some pornography involved. And I'm going to just read the last page of the report to you. I have a copy right here. And this is the customs agent going over to the Metropolitan Police for a final briefing on the case. I was, quote, I was advised that all the passport data had been turned over to the State Department for their investigation. The State Department, in turn, advised Metropolitan Police Department that all travel and use of the passports by the holders of the passport was within the law and no action would be taken. This included travel to Moscow, North Korea, and Vietnam, North Vietnam, from the late 1950s to the mid-1970s. Now, it was against the law to travel in those countries during that period. The individual, meaning a Metropolitan Police Department officer, advised this customs agent, further advised me of circumstances which indicated that the investigation into the activity of the finders had become a CIA internal matter. The Metropolitan Police Department report has been classified secret, was not available for review. I was advised that the FBI had withdrawn from the investigation several weeks prior, and the FBI Foreign Counterintelligence Division had directed the Metropolitan Police Department not to advise the FBI Washington Field Office of anything that had transpired. No further information will be available. No further action will be taken. No further action will be taken on the basis of this report. Well, now, why am I bringing this to your attention when I'm talking about the FBI? It's very simple. This report has been furnished by me to the FBI on at least a half a dozen times with a formal request that an investigation be conducted. I have yet to be contacted by the FBI for more details. I have additional details. This is their responsibility. I was involved in kidnapping cases. This is an international child kidnapping ring. In my research, I learned this has been going on since the early 1960s. I've also learned in my research that this is an Illuminati operation and that they have vans throughout the United States that are picking kids up off the street. And if you'll check the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children website, you will see that there are 91 adults disappear in this country every hour. 85 to 90% of these are children, estimated. Now, I did a chart. I charted, you know, these National Center for Missing and Exploited pictures, they send these little cards, they must send millions of them out. And they've been in business for 25 years. And as of a year ago last fall, by the way, last year they took in $49 million. And as of a year ago last fall, they had located 139 children in 25 years. Not a very good record, is it? And recently I noticed that they quit putting that figure on their cards. But anyway, I had 94 of these cards myself. I've been collecting them. I collect everything. I got 300 boxes of research in my home, by the way. It fills up a whole bedroom. And I've been doing this ever since college. And so I charted the date that these children were missing of the 94 cards that I have. And half of them, 47, exactly 47, were missing during the months of June, October, December. Now, if you check the satanic calendar, I have a satanic calendar available to you at my booth, by the way. You check the satanic calendar, the main 3 holidays where they sacrifice humans are the summer solstice, June 21st, Halloween, October 31st, and December 21st, December 21st, this winter solstice. So I contend, and I told the FBI this, that these children are being kidnapped by this CIA operation and being sacrificed by the Satanists, and it's being covered up. Anyway, nobody's paid much attention to me. I just keep preaching it, shouting from the rooftops, whatever. Going on to the terrorist movement. I've personally been involved in the terrorist movement. In 1993, you recall February 26, 1993, the World Trade Center car bombing. I have a New York Times article here, October 28, 1993. You don't have to take my word for it. But in the trial of the terrorists, Adam Yosef was the leader, of course. He's serving prison time right now, Terminal Island, California. In the trial, it came out that the FBI had an informant named Salem, 43-year-old former Egyptian army officer, and he was in with the terrorists, and he was commissioned by the terrorists to put the car bomb together to bomb the World Trade Center. And he went to his FBI superiors, we're going to use a dummy bomb, aren't we? And the FBI superior says, no, we're going to use a real bomb. So the FBI not only knew about this in advance, they furnished the ingredients for the bomb that brought down a portion of the, or badly damaged 6 floors of the World Trade Center car bombing. There were 6 people killed, there were 1,000 injuries, and I think $500,000 in damage. It's in here. And the reason that this came out in the trial is because Salem the FBI furnished him a body mic when he met with the terrorists. Well, he was smart enough to use a body mic when he met with the FBI. So that way, he did not have to serve any time. I'm sure they would have railroaded him along with the other terrorists if he hadn't done this. Came out during the trial. New York Times, October 28, 1993. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. Oklahoma City bombing, April 19, 1995. I was up to my eyeballs in that one. I made 2 trips to Oklahoma City out of my pocket. Investigated. I have a 222-page report that's available, by the way. And I learned in my work that that statement by the government that this was an ammonium nitrate bomb that would blow up a stump in your backyard if you're a farmer was a joke. Okay, that bomb, and I can document this, was a highly classified bomb developed in the early 1980s, and it was so highly classified that Ronnie Reagan put it in the storage someplace and said, don't talk about it to anybody that was involved in it. I happen to know about the fact that the bomb was exploded in Area 51. The night it was exploded there, I was with a group of people in Palm Springs. We were in a hotel room waiting to see what the results were. These are intelligence-type individuals. I do have a few friends around, not many, but a few in the business. And we learned that it was underestimated. A technician died, and another technician was injured. It was so powerful. The contract number on that bomb, and I've got it here. I developed it from a Defense Daily magazine, and it is DAAA 21-90-C-0045, and it was finalized in the government contract and signed off on June 14, 1990. I wrote a letter to the Picatinny Arsenal. Picatinny Arsenal has all contracts for the government available to the public. I received a response back. In response to your request, amended Freedom Information Act, request for a copy of contract number so on and so forth. After review, research of your request, please be advised that no information pertaining to that contract number has been located. If you have any questions, please call us. I wrote a letter to Dyno Nobel. Dyno Nobel happens to be the manufacturer of that particular bomb. Never got a response back. I wrote that September the 21st. Firehouse Magazine. The editor of Firehouse Magazine wrote this article. And in the article, he points out that, by the way, the information he obtained was from the Oklahoma City Fire Department. He points out that there were 4 unexploded devices taken out of the building. He has the date and the time that they were taken out. The rescue attempts were discontinued for 5 hours while men in blue work clothes came in and carried boxes out. Bill Clinton, in a speech, and this appeared in the American Free Press. If you didn't subscribe to it while you're here, you should. June the 12th, 1995, while speaking in Hanover, New Hampshire, said the bomb that blew up the federal building in Oklahoma City was a miracle of technology. So now we find out that ammonium nitrate bombs are a miracle of technology. Okay. I learned, because of the work that I did in Oklahoma City, the defense team interviewed me for 4.5 hours. And I learned that through my other sources, an inside investigator that there were at least 11 other people involved in Oklahoma City. And now most recently, Terry Nichols has identified the person who coordinated the Oklahoma City bombing as Larry Potts, number 2 man in the FBI. I have a lot, I only have about 6 or 7 more minutes, so I've got to skip over quite a bit of my plans here. So what's happened to me? Well, 911, I was going to go over 911. I have documented proof that the FBI was furnished information in advance about 911 on March the 20th, 2001. And at that time, my source, who was CIA for some 20 years, furnished the information to FBI agent Keith Kutry of the Williamsport, Pennsylvania Resident Agency, and specifically told him who was coordinating forthcoming terrorist attacks in the United States, had information on the movement of Soviet-made shoulder-fired missiles, was coordinating forthcoming skyjacking, coordinating bombings, and espionage, knew the identity of sleepers in the United States. My source furnished the FBI with an Arab who was in with the terrorists, who was preparing false IDs for 4,500 terrorists around the world. The FBI interviewed him after 9/11, Mr. Kutry did, and threatened him with prosecution and deported him. He and his family have since been executed. Okay, I only have a couple of minutes. I said earlier there's a covert-overt operation. I also said that there are a lot of good people in the FBI, the CIA, NSA. I'm in the process now of preparing a report for the Senate Intelligence Committee. And I want to just give you the introduction to this report. Based on my 28 years experience, I'm reading from my report, and research, I've determined there are thousands of victims who have been targeted by an illegal U.S. government rogue criminal enterprise that is active 24 hours a day throughout the United States. And networks of victims who work with me have reached the same conclusion based on 1, their personal experiences, 2, the significant number of victims, and 3, the extent and intensity of the harassment. It is far too active to be operated and controlled by private enterprise. Private enterprise goals are to achieve financial gain. These operations require extensive financing to operate with no return on the investment. I believe these programs are financed through illegal black operations, i.e. drugs, prostitution, gambling, kidnapping children who are auctioned off as sex slaves. Paul Benassi told me he attended 6 such auctions with as many as 6 and as many as 36 children being auctioned off at $50,000 each, by the way. Kidnapped children who are auctioned off as sex slaves, used as human sacrifice and body parts. I believe this well-organized, sophisticated operation has a central command located somewhere in the United States with multiple satellite offices scattered throughout the country. It appears that those who administer the program can call any location in the U.S. for surveillance, a telephone tap, or other activity, and harassment directed at a victim and immediately dispense manpower to the source. This has happened to me, by the way, time and time again. This well-greased covert operation makes the old FBI counterintelligence program look like a Sunday school class. I can document that the government has the expertise, finance, and manpower to effectively administer such a program. To understand why and how a black criminal enterprise of this rogue element targets an individual is necessary to 1, to identify the victim, 2, outline the reasons the victim is targeted, and 3, document and identify the weapons and tactics being directed against him or her. Okay, I only have a couple of minutes, but I think I started late, so I may take a little extra minute time on that one. So what about me? People say, why aren't you dead? Okay, well, let me tell you this. In the early 1980s, I had 3 occasions when gunmen were waiting for me. I found out afterwards, and it's only through divine intervention that I didn't go to specific locations at the time. For example, one of them, I didn't go home that particular night. The landlady said that she was parking her car at 1:30 in the morning. 2 men were in the car across from my front door. One of them got out of the car and came over and said, you know where Ted Gunderson lives? And they said no, or she said no. And I, of course, told her, if anybody asks about me, you don't know me. And he sat in the car 15 more minutes, 1:45, he left. I've made some phone calls the next day when I came home, and I found out I had a hit on me. And I went in to see some certain people, got that hit taken off, and I learned that there was a second hit on me. by satanic cults out of Florida and Houston. And I was a little